Well, hello, and a very warm welcome back to another year on my allotment. And I hope you all had a fantastic Christmas and New Year. And I certainly did, my family did, or those that I spent it with. And it's the new year, 2024. And metaphorically, although it's a few days into the new year, I like to think that that is the sun coming up on another year on my plot, and lots to look forward to. I'm sure you're the same, whether you've got your kitchen garden or an allotment. Every year you start with renewed optimism. Throughout the year that optimism is dashed and proved often fruitless, but you start off every year thinking, this is it, this is going to be the best. I'd just like to introduce you to one of my favourite Christmas presents this year. My son-in-law and daughter bought me this. It's supposed to look like a terracotta pot. It says Gardener of the Year. Some of you may disagree. But it's even better than that. The spoon is in the shape of a little spade. I find as I get older, it's the little things in life that please me the most. So yeah, welcome along. We're going through a little bit of a dry spell. It hasn't been that way for long. So I'm going to start off by showing you what it was like a few days ago in the week. And we'll start with what's going on in my garden. Well, in some rare and much appreciated sunshine, I've got my Kestrel and Charlotte potatoes chitting. I'm not sure if the camera will pick that up, but that's 16.9 degrees Celsius in the greenhouse. It's no wonder the pelargoniums are flowering. And here are the broad beans that were sowed last year. They're looking a little bit leggy, so I might have to think about putting those out maybe this or next week. And then I did it last year and I've done it again this year. My brassicas, so cauliflower, broccoli and the green and red cabbages, I sowed them the 9th of October. I'm overwintering them in the greenhouse and I shall plant them out in the spring, and they will crop in about May, early June, as opposed to September, which is what I normally get, September, October, when I sow them in the spring. So I get an earlier crop. So, although the ground up the allotment is a bit bare, the greenhouse is full up. There's only room for me just to step inside the door. And these are all overwintering out of the pots in the garden. Well, I hate to admit it, but I gave up as far as work was concerned. I went to my first customer for 2 hours, and as I worked, the garden flooded, and I just about managed to manage 2 hours in her garden. So I've come up the allotment to dry my kit out, and the rain is coming back through between the sheds. It's just overwhelmed the canal. The water butts are overflowing, and the plot is, I think it's fair to say, flooded. The paths are flowing like rivers. Let's have a little look down the plot. Yeah, the plot simply cannot handle this level of rain. It's been raining now for a few weeks. We get a little reprieve, but every now and again it just hammers and hammers. The canal is completely overwhelmed and the bottom of the plot is inches deep. On a positive note, what I can say is, thank goodness I do have these irrigation ditches down both sides, because all this water being taken away by the ditches would be on the surface of my plot. It's epic. So it's flowing down there, and then the surface water is joining it that's moving at some pace. But the little footbridge is causing it to block. I think I'll go and get my spade and see what I can do with that. It's carrying on down there, but it's also bursting out and flowing out across the car park and beyond. It's quite something to behold. And down on my neighbour's plot, Melvin, because he doesn't keep his ditch as clear as I do, it's going across his plot as well. Well, I just lifted the footbridge, just lifted the planks, and it's the water's now flowing unobstructed underneath, and it's stopped it flowing out onto the car park. So that slight modification has improved things, certainly for the golf car park, immeasurably. And hopefully now that that water is flowing stronger and not being backed up, it will start to drain off from the bottom of the plot, hopefully. Well, as you and I both enjoy this spectacular sunrise, I know I said in my last video of the year that I had an announcement to share with you, and I do, and I'm going to, but I thought, so hang around for that, but I thought I'd start, having seen the plot just a few days ago flowing like a river. I thought it'd be a good start to the year to show you how the plot is looking just a few days later when I've done a little bit of work on it. So we'll do the plot tour now briefly, and then I'll tell you what's coming up for me and my family this year. Do you know, I've been watching sunrises all my life, and every single one of them is as special as the one before. I never tire of nature's beauty. But if I can turn you around, today's the day. Those bolted leeks are coming out, and down here not a lot to do. I have now put the drum over one of my rhubarb plants. The white long label you see next to it to the right of the drum marks the rhubarb plant I forced last year. So just before Christmas I put that barrel over the other plant, and I will remove it maybe the first week of March, and we'll have a look at what beautiful forced rhubarb I've got. Now this bed is a good example. I haven't had enough material to top dress this bed this year, so that has sat like that through autumn and now into winter. But you will see what I've done with the other beds up on the main plot, and I'm going to do it with this one today. I just take my garden fork and I lightly agitate the surface, and that just, first of all, it removes the weeds. Secondly, it just breaks the crust that has formed and compacted. I don't dig it, I just break the surface, and that allows the wind and the dry weather to start to dry out the soil. Inevitably the rain will come again and it will be compacted again, but you know, if you want to be ahead of the game come spring, you need to be up the plot now. Anybody that is serious about growing fruits and vegetables on an allotment is busy on their plot now. And here's a good example. This shows you these bottom beds. They were an inch or two deep in rainwater not 5 days ago, but over the course of the week after work, which isn't particularly busy at the moment, I've come up here and just, as I say, agitated the surface, and it makes all the difference, and the beds definitely dry out quicker. So 100% germination on all my garlic, I'm pleased to say, and because these lower beds just aren't ready to take crops yet, because they will flood again, that garlic is staying in those trays, waiting for probably middle of February, early March. The strawberries, we've had such mild weather, I've still got flowers on the strawberry plants. Poor old plants don't know whether it's blooming summer, spring, autumn or winter. And here's another bed that I haven't managed to top dress and that needs forking over today. Moving up the plot, we had some high winds over 2 or 3 weeks, and I lost an awful lot of the leaves off of these beds. They blew away. But the garlic that I have got in this bed here is doing okay. It's tough, and these 2 beds don't flood. They're that little bit higher, and my onions, multi-sown onions, are looking okay. And I did the Boxing Day onion sow. I didn't actually do it Boxing Day because we had family, but a few days later I've multi-sown some trays with red and white onions, and they're on the windowsill in the spare bedroom. Not a lot else to show. Some beetroot there that we're juicing at the moment. That's about it. You see the glow up here from that sunrise behind me. It's special. And the other thing, you can see the tulips starting to come up in that bed there, which is exciting. But even more pressing, I've shown you before, but those snowdrops really are, they're not far off flowering. Can't wait for that to happen. Right, that's as it looks early January. Oh, so nice to be in the shed. It's another world. You will probably have noticed that I've labelled this video slightly differently to what I normally do, and I'd like some feedback. It's my old soldier's brain. It's very simple, but it is ordered, and so I have always labelled and entitled my YouTube videos by Hanley Plotter Allotment number, I mean, is this 183, you know, from number 1 right the way through to 180, whatever it is. And that pleases my military brain. But I was talking to my daughter and son-in-law over Christmas, and they explained that nobody searches for gardening and allotment videos by typing in Hanley Plotter number whatever. They search for jobs to do in January, or, you know, whatever. And so I think it is inhibiting my ability to grow my channel because of that way I entitle the videos. So starting with this one this year, I'm going to entitle them with, you know, some sort of theme of what I'm doing, and hopefully more people will find the channel. So I'm, you know, not being a tech person, I'm not sure how easy that will be for you. I mean, I'm assuming if you've subscribed, my videos come up on your front page of your YouTube anyway. So could you just, you know, give me a little bit of feedback? Did the video come up as normal? You know, I have no idea how that impacts. So please, you know, do let me know if it's made any difference. So that aside, you know, I like to include a little bit of humour. There's only so much you can say about allotments in the depths of winter. So what I have here is a list, and I have Jasper Carrot to thank for that. And if you don't know who Jasper Carrot is, you're probably quite young. But he did a thing many years ago, and it was, he extracted some statements, and these are real statements by real people when they filled in their insurance claims after having a car accident. And these are genuinely what people put in their claims to their insurance company after an accident. And I'll just read them out to you and you can see what you think. Excuse me if I laugh while I read them. I've read them and I wrote these out, but I still laugh every time I read them. So here we go. Leaving home for work in the morning, I drove out of my drive and straight into a bus. The bus was 5 minutes early. I drove into a lamppost which was obscured by human beings. Driving home, I drove into the wrong house and collided with a tree I haven't got. The accident was caused by me waving to the man I hit last week. Oh, they're priceless, aren't they? I knocked down a man. He admitted it was his fault as he'd been knocked down before. The pedestrian had no idea which way to run, so I ran over him. The bloke was all over the road. I had to swerve a number of times before I hit him. Oh, I love them. I love them. I told the police I wasn't injured, but on removing my hat, I discovered I had a fractured skull. I had been driving for 40 years when I fell asleep at the wheel. I saw a slow-moving, sad-faced old gentleman as he bounced off the bonnet of my car. Oh, yeah, they're fantastic. And just to finish off, nothing to do with cars, here's a quote here from Einstein. And I think it's priceless. Well, it is Einstein. The difference between genius and stupidity is that genius has its limits. Oh, that is so true. Oh. Well, even if you didn't, I thoroughly enjoyed reading those out again. Right, sun's up, I better do some work. Well, I said I had something to tell you, so here it is. My son-in-law and daughter were up with us at Christmas, and we were chatting about our plans this year, and none of us could remember where this idea came from. But essentially, at some point in the last year or two, my son-in-law and daughter and my wife and I spoke about joining forces financially and buying a property with a piece of land. And you know, we own our own home, and my daughter has a flat in just outside Portsmouth. So that's what we're going to do. Now, hopefully it's going to happen this year. And of course, nothing is certain in life, so this plan is an ambition. It's not a certainty, but I will be keeping my allotment for the whole year. We pay our subs at the end of February, and I will be keeping these two allotments for at least another 12 months. If everything goes to plan, this time next year, when we have to renew our contract, I will have given up the two plots, taken what I want from them, and I will leave them behind. If it works. If it doesn't work, then I just carry on here. We stay living in a little house in Chepstow and I will keep my allotments. So that is the plan. My daughter is going to put her flat on the market in or around February, and as and when that starts the process of selling, Cheryl and I will put our property on the market. We're already actively looking at properties. Now, we'd like to stay in this area, but we're not affluent, wealthy people, and our budget isn't big. So it's unlikely that we will find somewhere in this Chepstow Wye Valley area, as much as we'd love to. So I think our two realistic options are West Wales and Lincolnshire. West Wales is not our preferred option for a number of reasons. I won't go into those, but I'm happy to say that the more draconian and foolish the Welsh government become, the less enamoured I am with living in Wales. We've lived in Wales for the last 15 years, but it's going backwards. So Lincolnshire is probably where we end up, but we don't know. We don't have any geographical restrictions on us. It's simply about the property and the land. Now, this has a number of advantages for us. Of course, the first being that we end up with a piece of land and I can recreate what I have here on land that we own, which is always preferred, isn't it? The other thing about it is we will end up living either in the house with my daughter and son-in-law or in an annex. You know, that's to be discussed and agreed. But as and when we, you know, I'm 60 now, we're not getting any younger. So as we get a little bit older, and I will probably fall off my perch in the way that most men of a certain age do. You know, I'm a self-employed gardener. Almost all of my customers are widows. The men all die. So, you know, unless, you know, it's a fluke of nature and I survive my wife, personally, selfishly, I know that my wife will be looked after. She'll be living in a multi-generational environment, and she'll be cared for by my daughter and son-in-law. We will be living together with them, and they have a small boy, George. My wife is thoroughly enjoying being a nanny, and it'll be a nice way of living, we think. So that is my announcement. And as far as the channel is concerned, everything carries on as normal. My videos will carry on as normal, but at some point, if all goes to plan, we will move. We will leave this area and we will relocate. And at that point, my channel will change, and it will no longer focus on this allotment. It will focus on the land that we've bought. We're looking at properties anywhere between 1/3 of an acre and an acre or two. That would be lovely, but it's not likely. All I want, I've measured out the square area of my land here, and that's the very minimum I want to be able to recreate. And I will grow and try and become as self-sufficient as we can within our two-family setup. It's all very exciting. It's all unknown. It may or may not happen. And as and when it does, I will take you along on that journey. And I think for the channel, it'll still be about growing fruits and vegetables, but we will have to, you know, get our own greenhouse and or polytunnel, etc. I will be creating no-dig beds. Never done that before. Creating it all from lawn or grass, whatever we find. I think it'll be quite exciting to create videos about making a small holding, and for you to watch them, because we'll have to start from scratch. And I've watched quite a few people do that. Some of them have more knowledge than others. Some of them are really flying blind, and you have to admire that. But I've built up quite a base of knowledge of how to grow fruits and vegetables and the infrastructure required. So I think it'll be quite interesting. Anyway, I'm excited about it. My family, immediate family, is very excited about it. And we intend to take you along on the journey as and when it begins. And of course the channel will involve my wife, son-in-law, daughter. My daughter already has her own channel. Charlotte Jordan, and hers are really sort of her lifestyle channel. She has far more subscribers than I do because she's young, attractive, vibrant, and you know, and I'm not. So we appeal to different demographics, and I think bringing them together as we create a new home and all that goes with creating a small holding, I think it'll be exciting. Anyway, I've said enough. As and when I have more to tell you, I will inform you. But as far as my channel is concerned, in the immediate next 6 months, certainly everything will carry on as normal, so fear not. But I think it could get quite exciting in the second half of the year. Well, I hope that satisfies your curiosity. Job done. That's amazing. One solitary, beautiful calendula in January. Right, well, I'm done. It's been a beautiful day, a little bit on the chilly side, nothing too extreme. And it was such a nice day, there were a couple of other people up here, very unusual. So, yeah, I'm done for the day. I will probably be around next weekend. I think, you know, until January, February, I may not post every week. I'll just see how I feel and what I'm up to, if there's anything worth looking at. I hope the announcement wasn't an anticlimax, but I'm really looking forward to the year ahead, not just because of my plot, but because, well, you can understand why. So maybe I'll be around next weekend, we'll see, depends if I've got anything to do. But until then, have a good week, enjoy the dry weather while it lasts, and I shall see you soon. Take care, bye for now.